What up, what up, what up? Happy, what is it, Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Cannon Speaks. I am Cannon Hotep, and I'm joined by Jay Pylon and none other than the great Sonnie Johnson. Everybody give Sonnie Johnson a round of applause. I'm happy to have her here. I appreciate you, Sonnie, for joining us. Oh, come on. No, it's, you're a busy woman. I'm just happy you was able to come on and hang out with us. Thank you so much for that. So we're gonna get into it with Sonnie. I got a couple of questions for her. Also, we're gonna touch on a couple of topics tonight. I'm happy you guys can join us. See who we got in the chat right now. We got Liberty Toad in the building. He says he's on. I appreciate you hitting that share button. We got Natasha Kayleen. What's going on, Natasha? We got Jabaria Judah in the building. What's going on? We also got Protocol in the building. He said, oh, we lit tonight. Yeah, we are. We definitely lit tonight. He said, time to roll up a fatty. We got Steph Colonel in the building. What's going on, Steph? I appreciate y'all. We got P-Dog Knight in the building. What's going on, P-Dog? I appreciate you for coming through. We got Miss Banky in the building as well. Appreciate it. Good evening. Good evening. We got Francisco in the building. Who else we got? We got Morgan in the building. He says, good evening, gentlemen. This should be good. I love me some Sonnie. Everybody loves Sonnie, man. Everybody loves Sonnie. We got Hotep Pops in the building. He says, Hotep and build. And he got the clapping hands for Sonnie. We got James S. in the building. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hey, if you're new, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon. It'll let you know when I got new content coming out. It's actually supposed to let you know when I got new content coming out, but YouTube got me shadow banned. They not trying to put my my notifications out there, but that's all right. You guys are still here, and I appreciate it. Give me 1 second. I gotta get my music going in the background while we talking. My wife called it setting the mood. Is she muted? Hold on. Let's check. Let's see.
I was expecting that she's so loud you can hear her through the mute. give me the joke or the obvious.
One in the chat if y'all can hear Sonnie. One in the chat if y'all can hear Sonnie. Hey Sonnie, say something for us.
Hi everybody. Let's rock. I'm ready. Like I got my adrenaline up. I'm ready to rock now.
Yeah, they said I'm muted too.
What is going on here? Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's see. What is going on? All right, let's test this again one more time. Go ahead, say something, Jay.
Hello, mic check 1 2. Can you hear me?
One's in the chat if you can hear him. There we go. You got ones in the chat now. Everything's good to go. Everything's good to go. So, all right, everything good now. He said and run the intro back. All right, guys, let's get to it. So, Sonnie, thank you for coming on with us. So I always had this question, right? So I came into all of this stuff in 2020, I guess I would say more. So I was paying attention in 2016. I would sit at my desk at work when I was a system administrator. I would listen to your shows, right? Your replays and stuff like that on Twitter, right? I'm like, yo, this lady, she is on fire. This is crazy, right? So honestly, before I found out who Hotep Jesus and Uncle Hotep was, I knew who you were first. And I would sit there and I would listen and I would, like, man, she think like I think, right? Where did you get? So what put you on the path to being a conservative, or were you always conservative growing up?
No, I was always conservative. Like, it was like, the stories they come up with about when they got off the plantation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was never on a plantation. I was raised properly. I had parents that cared about me, and secondary family that cared about me, and third level family in my community that cared about me. So I was always fed conservatism, taught to live like a conservative, to carry myself like a conservative. Like, white conservatives own none of my conservatism. It was all given to me by black people.
Okay.
And that is very important to understand as we are in this moment where people think it is something to be given instead of something to be recognized. And I am one of those people who feels very, very strongly that you should recognize someone else's conservatism as opposed to trying to force them into your ideology.
Nice, nice, nice. That makes sense. See, with me, you know, I grew up a Democrat because my parents was Democrats. Their parents were Democrats. You know, I grew up in Baltimore City, which is a heavily Democratic city. You know, honestly, if it wasn't for Baltimore City and PG County, Maryland would be a red state. A lot of people don't know that, but because of those.
Well, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and in the entirety of Richmond's history, they've only had one Republican mayor.
Oh wow!
So like, I get that, but we're not I'm not talking about like the political parties. Like my family didn't participate in politics like at all. I don't ever remember watching them go vote or caring about voting or talking about politics or like any of that within my family. So, you know, I didn't have that as something that was pressing on me as far as this is what you believe. Of course, you know, going to public schools, you get that push into all black people vote for Democrats. And when we had mock elections, of course, I would portray the Democrat or whatever. And the very first time I voted for Democrat, Al Gore. And I came out after that and I put a little sign on to say I voted. And I went to my best friend's house at the time, and his dad just was like, "You are a liar. You like none of the stuff you voted for, you actually believe." And he just went down the list, and I was like, okay, whatever, you know, blew it off. But when I started to actually look at politics, like it was the culture that made me say like, okay, I see how they're moving. They're getting out of poverty while we have so many communities that are stuck in generational poverty, right? So what are they doing to move out of poverty? And this was like during the Bush tax cuts, and the money was flowing. Everybody was owning their own. They were taking over their own labels. They were trying to get their masters back. They were going into real estate. They were opening up restaurants. They were diversifying those portfolios and starting to build generational wealth. And I looked at that and said, you know what? That's what I mean. And it's simple things that our parents tried to tell us, even if they themselves didn't comprehend totally how to do it, how to be strict with it, how to be disciplined with it. They did the best that they could, but it's incumbent upon us to realize that they gave us the base, and now we can take that, and we're in the information age. We can connect all of the dots to get all of the information we need to make those dreams come to fruition. So I'm much more now of just under the line of taking what our parents gave us, what our grandparents gave us. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or do something new. Take what mommy told you, take what grandma told you, take what pop told you, whatever, and apply it to real life. And where you are missing information, find that information. We're in an age where it's right at your fingertips, and actually start building wealth.
Nice. And I wish I learned that when I was younger. You know what I mean? Instead of like my family was following the status quo. You know what I mean? As I got older, I started to realize that the stuff that the quote unquote Democratic Party stood for, I didn't. Like you just said, you know, I didn't stand for that. It didn't make sense to me. You know, especially when I started voting. You know what I mean? So, like you said, as I really started to become more conscious as far as politics are concerned, and the state of my city and the state of, you know, my family and poverty and stuff like that, I started to realize, like, man, they're not really helping us. They're not helping us at all. They're actually doing a great disservice to us by giving us handouts and stuff like that, you know, and not like, for example, when I really first started paying attention to stuff, the mayor of Baltimore City, what was her name? Sheila Dixon. She started shutting down PAL centers, and she started shutting down these community outreach centers, and like they had a West Side Skills Center where people would go and they learn certain skills that would help them get jobs. That stuff started getting shut down because of funding. And they kept saying because of funding. And it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, okay, if this stuff is supposed to help us, why aren't we fighting harder to keep this stuff up and running? You say you for us, you say you for the people of the city, but you're not doing anything to keep these programs that's needed for people to, to get good jobs. Even if it's entry level, I don't know, Microsoft Word or whatever. You're getting rid of this stuff.
Paying their union membership and honoring those contracts is far more important to them than honoring any promises they made to the people in their constituency. Mm-hmm. So when they're talking about budgets, you have to think about the fact of what they prioritize. And we see this now with the water crisis and what's going on across the country. There have been $2 trillion infrastructure bills in my lifetime. Right? Can you understand that? See, we used to fight about can we have the money? Can we afford it? Is it possible for us to get the funds? They passed the funds. They passed the bill. They spent the money as far as putting it on our national debt. And that's the part that's freaking me out, is that it's not even a matter of can we allocate the money. They can pull it out of thin air. They can allocate the money. But even with the money, the basic functions of government pertaining to infrastructure cannot be fixed. So it's not even a question of whether we can afford it. Is that even if we can afford it, if we give this money to these people, and I don't care whether you're looking at the Republican state house or the Democratic city, I don't care. I'm looking at the entire function of government to say that it cannot be done in the current structure that we have it in, no matter how much money we spend. So that should tell us that right now, what we're doing with this constant spending is not going to get us to the solutions that we want. And that's just having basic working, functioning infrastructure in this country. It is not going to happen. And we have seen the proof of that happen over the last 20 years or so, as we've allocated trillions and trillions of dollars to start looking like a third world country.
No, I agree. You're right. We can't spend our way out of it. And, like you said, the funds have been allocated. They've been put there. They're misappropriating the funds. Here.
And that's on top of the COVID funds they still had because they didn't spend. That's on top of the money that if we could fathom. Well, actually, we can fathom how much money they spent because we're seeing it in inflation. Right. We're seeing it when we go to the grocery store. We're seeing it when we go and fill up our gas tanks. We're seeing it with our energy bills coming in. We are seeing exactly how much money government spent. And every single time an American citizen has to see their wages, their wealth disintegrate over government, understand that that's all them free checks that they sent you. That's all the free checks that they sent to the businesses. That's all the money they sent to the schools. That's all the money they sent to the hospitals. And the hospitals are still saying if there was some massive surge that they wouldn't be able to withstand it. Well, what did you do with the trillions of dollars that we spent? And government has no answer for that. Again, I'm not even looking at, in this conversation, at Democrat or Republican. This is the entire function of government. And we are seeing, it's like they are trying to force us to stop trusting our institutions. They are trying to push us in a position where our sanity will not allow us to trust them anymore. And I think more and more citizens, that's where we're being pushed to that point where it's just not going to matter and we're just not going to care about any function of government.
Man, let's get to these super chats real quick. We got Raiders Nation featuring Wasted Talent in the building. He says, shout out to the Queen Sonnie and my bro Cannon. Sad I missed Hotep weekend this year. I won't next year. Yo, man, listen.
So much fun.
So much fun. So much fun.
I didn't even realize how much I needed. I just needed that time. I needed the fellowship. I needed to laugh. I needed to smile. I needed to chop it up. It was absolutely amazing. So I would highly suggest to anybody that didn't get a chance to make it out to HotepCon, make plans to be there next year because it is a completely fabulous event. One of the best events I have been through the entire time of in politics. So definitely shout out the Hotep card.
I hear that. We got Chad in the building. Chad with the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate you, Chad. He says this is a hell of a triumvirate. I don't know what the hell that word is, Chad. He says Cannon J and Queen. The activation, Sonnie F and Johnson. Yeah, so, but I get what you're saying. So, like here in Baltimore, so it's supposed to be all of these funds coming from Horseshoe Casino, right? All these funds from Horseshoe Casino was supposed to go into the Baltimore City public school system. We still got schools here that don't have adequate heating and air for the kids. One of my cousins is a teacher, and she had an email that said that certain schools were going to be closing a half a day because they didn't have air conditioning to cool the school down. And this is one of the things that was supposed to be taken care of with the funds coming from the casino revenue. Again, somebody mismanaged some funds.
And the COVID funds were supposed to go to making sure the schools were open and safe and having proper filtration, which I'm sure should probably include air and heating, as that probably hooks into the filtration system.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but it goes to show you no government is functioning properly the way that it should be functioning. Right,
and right now we got an issue with our water here with E. coli in the water, where they got 40 public schools here in Baltimore City and Baltimore County that the kids can't even drink the water. They called it a boiled water advisory or something like that. So not just the public schools, but the housing around it. You know, I'm like, damn, we got another, Flint, Michigan issue going on here.
You got Flint. You got what's happening in Baltimore. You got what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi. Out in the San Francisco Bay, they wasn't able to stop the poop and pee from getting into the San Francisco Bay, and now it's created so much algae that they think that they have just ruined the ecosystem in the bay. Like, we are constantly hit over our head with this concept of climate change as a means to save and protect the earth or whatever it is that's thrown at us. And I'm like, you can focus on that when your citizens don't have basic functioning drinking water.
Yeah.
Like, if there is no baseline minimum that you should be able to meet, instead of trying to turn our entire economy green, if you cannot keep the water on and able to be and drinkable, why would we turn over the entirety of our energy grid to you to shape and mold as you see fit? Like, it does not seem like that would be a smart wager on our part to yet again turn something that huge over to the government when they can't even manage to keep the water on.
I completely agree with you on that. It's, again, people, y'all voting for these people. Y'all voted for it. And it's like Sonnie said before, we're going to get to this clip that resurfaced somehow. I was shocked at this. I wake up this morning, I go on Twitter. A clip that I put up, a year or two ago, resurfaces a USC pack. We'll get to that in a second. But like you said, it starts at the local government. We got Stuff Colonel with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Stuff. He says, Sonnie, the best to do it. And then James S. with another $5 super chat says, inflation is a shadow regressive tax. I hear that. So I want to get to this clip of you at CPAC. Shout out to Maj Toure for making this happen, actually. Let me get this all set up here. Let me go pause. Let me see. Let me bring you guys over as well. Let me see. All right. Can y'all see the screen? All right, cool. All right, we're going to play this. Let's go.
Conservative movement, Republicans in general, how are we?
Let me see something. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. Let me see. Make sure I got this right. I got to bring everybody else over there, too. Shoot. There we go. All right, here we go. All right, start this over.
How is the conservative movement, Republicans in general, how are we getting that messaging wrong?
Completely, actually. But if you go back to the idea of us now examining that black men have a conservative streak, I told conservatives that 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago. And every single one was telling me I had lost my mind. They told me I was crazy. They told me I was seeing something that was imaginary. If 5 years ago, this movement would have looked at black men and said they are capitalists, if they had looked at black men and said that they want to be the heads of their household, they want to be fathers to their children, they want to be coaches to their little league teams, if they had looked at black men as something more than a conservative stereotype and talking point, we would not be here talking about the failure of the last 4 years when it comes to black America.
Come on now, Sonnie.
If we had looked at what holds us together as conservatives, so if you want to know what conservatism means, it means conservation of the idea of the individual, that each and every one of us has inherent gifts that we are meant to give this world, and that deserves to be protected, even in black skin.
Come on now.
100%.
When we talk about the idea of the republic, that means that local government has the most power over the people. So when you tell me you're not going to a black community, don't tell me you believe in the republic, because you are lying to me. Anything that uplifts and conserves the idea of the republic starts at the local level. And if you are not willing to do that, then you are lying to me.
Hey, wait.
Man, that was just fire right there, guys. I mean, if I remember I watched that live and I had to go find that clip when it was all said and done. I had to go find that clip when it was all said and done, because I mean, you just set fire to the entire room. And the thing about it is that, like you said earlier today, I don't think any Republican heard anything you said. I think it all went in one ear and out the other.
Oh no, they heard. Like, it's I have enough of the blue checks following me for me not to be afraid that they're not hearing, right? They heard. It is a matter of them having a level of bravery that they do not have. And the reason that they don't have it is because they're not knowledgeable about the subject matter. They don't know these things. They don't know the history outside of Party of Lincoln, Party of Reagan. They don't understand black dynamics. They don't know the history of the Republican Party. So you're asking them to have a conversation that they're completely ignorant about the subject matter. So, but rather than saying I'm ignorant about the subject matter, you have them run away from it or dismiss it as just like you're just like the left. You know, you're just like, no, I'm not just like them, and you're boring for saying so. What you're mad at is that a black girl came along, yelled in your face, and told you you were brainwashed, and that's what has you upset. But in that moment, instead of being upset with me, how about being upset with the people that brainwashed you?
Right.
You know, like it might be a minor little adjustment, but you might want to be mad at the people that lied to you instead of being mad at me for telling you the truth. You might want to be mad at the people that hid history from you instead of being mad at me for exposing you to it. Like you might want to have more heat for the people that get their knee pads on and bow down to you than coming at the woman that has no problem verbally ripping you apart. It might be a smarter choice for you to understand what is happening here than to actually walk into a wood chipper. But that is the movement we are currently dealing with. And a lot of them are ideologically and mentally just have pineapple IQs of absolutely nothing in their head. And I hate to be as dismissive and insulting as that. Again, understanding this is how you're supposed to build a coalition. But I've been doing this long enough to understand that they are not going to change until white conservatives force them to change. And that is why I focus on the grassroots white conservative cousin side of the equation. If y'all are not going to activate and y'all are not going to get motivated to go and take on your people, don't ask me to go fight black Democrats. Like, don't ask me to get into battle with you when I know you're just standing behind me with a knife in my back. Like, it does not work like that. That's not, I'm too smart to attempt to let that happen. So at the moment, I just take on both sides equally and call it a day.
I hear that. I'm sitting there taking all the thing. Jay, you got any questions?
Oh, none.
Jay just sitting there
yet.
taking it all in.
Yeah. I'm wondering if my mic levels are good still.
No, you
Can
good.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll when I have something to say, I'll go ahead and jump
Jay
in. I'm
taking
just
it
taking
all
it all
in.
in, like he said.
So check it. Like
Enjoying
you
it.
said, you got no issues. You got no issues. Like just taking it to them, right? You're not holding no cut cards. You ain't trying to sugarcoat it. You ain't about to glad hand them. And that takes me to when I saw you at the White House. I think you was there with Wayne Dupree and a couple of other people that was there, and all, in my opinion, all they were doing was just basically like they were all starstruck and they were all like, "Oh, Mr. President, blah 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 blah," and you was like, "Happy to meet you, but look, your opportunity zone, yeah."
He was trying to skip over me, so I had to do the, oh, hold on, wait a minute. I had to do the jump in thing. If I was a black progressive, I might have a word that I call that. But he tried to do the skip over thing, and yeah, we weren't going to be playing that. That wasn't. Mm-mm.
Right, but the main point you were driving home there was about the opportunity zones that I took away from that, and you were 100% right with that. It's like, hey, on paper, great, but none of this money's going to get to the community. None of this money's going to get to the right hands. All of this money's going to go to the, to these out of state developers and this and that, and they'll never be seen in the community. And you were just firing off like this is what need to happen. And I just wanted you to reiterate on that, like as far as like where did they go wrong with that opportunity zone idea?
There's no federal solution to fix what is happening in black communities all across America. There's no federal solution. Like, to even propose that there could be a federal solution is you lying and giving people expectations that will not be met. You know what I'm saying? The only way we are going to be able to reverse what is happening in our communities is at the local level, because that's where the policy was implemented in the first place, right? And this goes back to kind of understanding why knowing history is so important. And understanding history is not so you can play victim, it's so you can understand how they zoned us into these areas. You can understand how, as they scream about environmental justice, the Democrats were the ones that put these pollution plants near black communities. They decided to do that. It was a conscious choice. Like, if you don't understand the history and know what they did, then you can't fight them, for one, because you can't hold them accountable. And for the second part of it, you can't reverse engineer, because you are not going to be focusing on the areas that are creating the most conflict between that community and its ability to have economic growth. So if you're not going to go in and remove some of the old legislation that's been there since Jim Crow and is used maybe infrequently, but when they really want to get you, you know what I'm saying, they can go back and pull up them old statutes because they're still on the book. If you're not removing that stuff, if you're not removing the regulatory burdens that have been put into place, if you are not removing some of the methodology towards taxation that has been put into place, if you're not taking out the progressivism, you're not going to cure the patient. It's like saying the patient has cancer, but if you point at it and stereotype it and talk about it enough, it's going to do something to cure the cancer. It's not. If you're not going to go in and actually root it out, then that body will remain cancerous. And it is the same thing with the Black community and progressivism. If you're not going to go in, you're not going to root it out the same way they planted it, then you are not going to be able to reverse the effects. And that has to be first and foremost in any kind of formula we are putting together for the Black community, one that completely takes into account that each community is different and will require a different solution to be able to bring them to their apex. So if you look at a place like Baltimore, one of the biggest problems Baltimore has had is that the industry has been pulled out. Yeah. Right? The manufacturing has been pulled out. Right. So you're going to be looking at a city like Baltimore and how you can replenish that manufacturing a little bit different than you might look at, another city that has some other economic foundation that's not centralized to that and having the port and being able to move it out by water. Like, every single district is going to need a different solution depending on the problems in said community. And like, if you can just, and then, you know what the funniest thing is? If you go and you listen to Black progressives when they're not in front of the camera, do you know what solutions they are giving? They are saying each plan has to be a community plan. Each plan has to, so they're saying the same things that we are saying, but they say them when the cameras are not rolling and they're amongst themselves. So they are aware of the solution. They know how it can be solved. And the reason they don't say it in front of the camera, because it's if you admit that it needs to be solved at the local level, then the next obvious question is, if Democrats are in control of those areas, then why has it not been solved? So you won't have them come out when the camera is in their face and actually say it. But if you go behind the scenes and listen to them talk amongst themselves, their number one solutions for these problems are understanding that they are community-based and local.
I couldn't have said it better myself. People, like, you can't just sit there and talk about it, get off the plantation, blah, 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 blah. You got to go in and do the work in the communities. You got to go knock on the doors.
Republicans want to steal our best and brightest, but they don't ever want to come home with us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they have that mentality of, hey, yeah, you can come to my crib and chill for a minute. You know, you can come to my space and chill for a minute. But no, I'm not going over there where your people's at. I'm not engaging with your people. I'm not doing that. Right. Yeah, I'll create this teeny bit of space for you here, but that's about the limit of what I'm able or willing to give. And that's the answer that Republicans have given for decades. Well, actually a century now, since they became lily white.
No, I agree. They won't need to come knock on the doors. You got to do the work in the community itself. It's not enough to say, all right, we're going to pull such and so out of the hood. We're going to bring them up here with us.
Actually, I don't even want, like, I'm not even asking you to come and knock on doors in the Black community, because you probably fucked that up. Like, that's not what we're asking. You know what I'm saying? Okay. What we're asking is, like, stop with your stupid messaging. Like, stop with your stupid distractions. Stop telling us we're not Black. Stop expecting us to give up our culture. Stop expecting us to not know our history. Like, we're not asking you to come in and play Captain Save-A-Ho. We don't need you to come in and do the work we are able to do for ourselves. But we cannot go to Black people and be like, look, this is what we're for. This is what we want to do. This is where we want to move. This is how we want to rock. We're going to be looking at economics. We're going to be looking at growth. We're going to be looking at entrepreneurship. We're going to be looking at equity. And then you have the white Republicans that we're supposed to be allies with say, oh, no, Black people are stupid. They're dumb. They belong on the plantation. Oh, yeah, let I forget. Ahmaud Arbery deserved to die. And so did George Floyd. Ha, ha, ha. Like, right. How do you do that?
Right.
And I'm supposed to do what now? I'm supposed to go tell Black people what now?
Right.
Like, are you? No, I'm not I'm not doing that. And on the flip side of that, the black capitalists are building with or without the Republican Party or the conservative movement. And I have every belief that they will continue to do that. So as long as they continue to do the work, pushing them towards politics is not a forefront issue as much as recognizing that they have the ideology and helping to spread the message. So that to me is much more important at this moment than trying to get any kind of political leaning with people who do not want to associate with us.
I hear that. I hear that. You're right. They put their foot in their mouth every step of the way. Every time they get some kind of footing, they knock themselves 10 steps back by some nonsense they done said. You're 100% right with that.
Some consulting on how to handle these conversations, you know where to find your girl.
Hey, that's another thing I didn't understand. I'm like, man, when I first came across, I'm like, why are they not consulting with her? Like, why are they not hiring her to head up their campaigns?
Because they have a proven formula for how to win, and that does not include black people, right? So the most that black people can do is give you a couple percentage points around the edges. They're not looking at us as any kind of base that will actually move their numbers, except when we are depressed vote, right? So when black people are like, yeah, I'm not messing around. Like this election, you're gonna have a lot of black people that are like, yeah, I'm not voting. Vote for what?
Right.
You know, like, and you're gonna have a lot of people sit out. Republicans see that as a victory. So they don't have to go and win black people if black people are going to sit out. And that's how they're looking at it. And that's a lot of what you see like happening down in Georgia with Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams and Warnock and Herschel Walker.
Right.
It's black men that are saying like, we're just going to sit this one out and we're going to let y'all handle it the way y'all want to handle it. But this ain't got nothing to do with us. And a lot of the groups are making sure they say go vote local. Make sure you show up and you take care of your local politics, but don't go at the top of the ticket. And they're going to pay for that. Democrats are going to pay the price for that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you that one last question before we let you go for the night. With the midterms coming up, what do you see? Because you got some people talking about there's a red wave coming. You got some people talking about a blue mirage. You know, so what do you see with this with these midterms coming up? I mean, I see record low voter turnout, in my opinion.
It is. No, well, I can tell you everything and just what I saw today before I got on with you. And that was the press conference with Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Announcing that Republicans would be introducing a 15-week abortion ban. Okay.
Uh-huh. A 15-week.
So you've been decades saying, what have you been decades saying? It's not a federal issue, it's a state issue.
Right.
This is what you've been saying for decades. The minute you actually get the court to give you sway, you come out with a federal bill for abortion. So you prove that everything the Democrats said about what you were actually after to be true. And you do this on the day where inflation numbers are released. So the story is not the inflation numbers, but the GOP's 15-week ban on abortion.
Jesus.
This is the party that you are dealing with. Like, this is the Republican Party that you are dealing with. Tell me how they are really trying to win. These are the people that raised record amounts of money had record amounts of money on hand at the beginning of the year. They raised so much money. They are now broke and crying because they need more donations to be able to keep some of these races active across the country. And we're looking at whether or not the Democrats will keep 50 senators in the U.S. Senate, which will allow them to break the filibuster, which Kamala Harris has already said that they are going to do. So you would think your GOP would be taking this a lot more seriously than they are taking it. Yet they're not. And this is going to be the epitome of watching the grassroots Republicans understand what it's like when you stand up, you tell your party to shut up and listen, but you fail to take it over. You fail to get into leadership. You fail to take over positions of power. You left your enemies in control of the entire mechanism while you screamed and pointed your finger at them. Now those people within the power structure are flexing on you
Yes.
by shrugging, like Atlas did.
Right.
They are waiting to see you fail. They want to see you fall, so you come back to them, begging them to save you. And they are willing to let the country continue to deteriorate until they can get this grassroots effort back under its control. And I would have never thought that that would have been a strategic strategy until I saw what they did to the Tea Party and under Mitt Romney. They've done this before. They know how this formula works. They set us up with this exact same play before. But again, you're dealing with conservatives and Republicans that don't pay attention to what the party is doing to them, only how much they hate Democrats. So the party's hand remains clean. They're never held accountable. They're not going to get any blame. And those people that are still in positions of power will continue to keep their power. And it's even funnier to hear like the MAGAs run around talking about we run the party now. And then you're like, okay, well, who are the leaders of your party? Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell. So how are you running anything? What do you run? Yeah, you run nothing, and it's nothing but symbolic words with no power behind it. And that's sad to say, looking at us coming to 2022 and knowing 2024 is right around the corner.
That's crazy, man. And you're right. And I never understood. And as long as I've been just looking at all this stuff, when they always have that abortion issue, right? I'm like, why is this even a talking point in politics? Why is this even a thing in politics? I always thought that was just a personal issue that should be handled in the House. Like morally,
it's the largest grassroots functioning cultural movement on the right. That's why it is where it is as far as our and you can't knock the pro-life movement. I will not knock the pro-life movement. They stood 10 toes down for what they believed in. They built, they organized, they came together, they fellowship, they caught attention, like they did what they were supposed to do. But GOP, they gave you a formula, a function of how it works. But you won't follow that formula of function in any other area except the pro-life movement. Just a note to throw that out, especially now that you've seen the NRA disintegrate before our eyes.
Yeah.
Which was the other big ballooned kind of apparatus that they had, but now they're losing that. But, you know, shout out to groups like Maj Toure and Black Guns Matter to steal that territory. I hope they do. Yeah,
I hope so too. I really do. We got Jabari Judah with a $20 super chat. He says, having trouble putting the little one to sleep, so I have to catch the replay. He says, Sonnie is one of the realest people I've ever met. Her knowledge is unmatched. She's one of the reasons I came to Hotep Con. Salute Cannon and Jay Pylon. Appreciate you, Jabari. Get the kids down, bro. I know it's hard. I got my son still over here playing Madden. And what time is it? It's 9:18. He about to take his little butt upstairs soon. Got Steph Colonel with another $5 super chat. He says they not trying to win. They not trying to win on purpose because Dems are the homies. They're no different other than their beliefs.
And even worse, you're having right now the Republican Party is programming Republicans to accept Marxism, right? I started the warning bell about this as soon as I started hearing them talk about nationalism. Now, it started kind of with Trump and nationalism, but as you listen to Trump, you understand what he's thinking when he thinks nationalism, right? But that isn't what the Republicans that are pushing nationalism, whether it be Christian nationalism or conservative nationalism, whatever banner you want to give it, they are coming with the idea of punishment of their enemies using government force. What does that sound like? What does that sound like to you?
Tyranny.
Like, does that sound like anything we as conservatives are supposed to be repping or pushing? Like, we don't do that. That sounds like a very statist way of looking at, especially the American public and people that you disagree with. I'm thinking that's not something that a road that we want to go down.
Right.
But now, but you started to see them insert this more and more, trickle it out more and more, put it out more and more, and now you are hearing the Marxists say we are going to partner with MAGA, and then you can have MAGA and the Marxists, and we're going to build a coalition to stop the oligarchy. Listen to me, Republicans, they will have you working with Marxists before they let you work with black people. Like, understand what they are doing. They will push you into building partnerships with Marxists before they push you into building relationships with black capitalists that are just as conservative as you are. And if you can't see this pitch and play, you're going to find yourself on the side of Marxism wondering how you got there. And the only person you're going to be able to blame is yourself for not paying attention to how they are bastardizing your ideology.
That's facts. That's facts. Gotta hit you with the Don DeMarco. Art Dog said.
Music playing too, so I could jam out a little bit.
Art Dog said with the $4.99 super chat says, if the right fully accepted blacks like Sonnie and the Hoteps and put them out front, they'd never lose. That's facts right there too, but they'll never do it. They think they know better. They think they know better. Everything's a one size fits all solution to them, you know. But anyway, we really
they don't like it when we uppity.
No, exactly right. What even LBJ said it right. He said what he said. Those niggas is getting uppity, and that's a problem.
That's a problem. And what you can't do when they uppity is allow them to get political power.
Right.
See, they can be uppity and powerless, and that's okay. But they can't be uppity and then have their eye on positions of power. Because, see, that's when the problem comes in. And sorry, you got a generation that's really uppity and our eyes on power. So you're going to see and have to deal with us and what we chose to become, how we've chose to operate, and how we choose to look at government going forward. There's no more shame and guilt and making us look at a flag and think that that encompasses government. It doesn't. It's the institutions, and the institutions are broken. And when we see something broken, we kind of demand that it gets fixed, not stay in its current state of death, poverty, and destruction. I think we've had enough of that.
Yeah, no more give them enough to make them happy, but not enough to make a difference. Speeches for us. No, we need. We need to.
No more trying to make us satisfied in our generational poverty. No more having us ask you for a few little cutouts to make the neighborhood look a little bit cuter. No more of that. We're coming to a point where we want ownership. And we realize that through entrepreneurship that gets us ownership, we'll get that equity, that real equity, that power equity, not the equity of government. No, the equity of a citizenry that understands that the government works for it and not the other way around.
Well, anyway, Sonnie, we really appreciate you coming through and stopping by and dropping those gems. And like I said, guys, if you guys didn't come to Hotep Nation, you missed it, man. Any place Sonnie sat down, it was a clinic, man. She was holding court, man. Like she was saying, she was giving $1 million worth of game out for $4.99.
You seriously ain't gonna ask me nothing this whole time?
Jay, you got any questions?
Yeah. So we have, I guess, Poland recently was asking Germany for reparations. Do you see reparations on the horizon for either political party to push for it?
I am not a reparations aggressor, right? Like, I'm not against it, and I completely understand why it's the topic of discussion, and I completely believe, especially for certain people and certain groups in certain places, that it should be mandatory reparations that are paid. So, like, let me say all of that out front, but I don't think that that's the problem. I think progressivism is the problem. And again, you could give all of us $1 million and then throw a $500,000 tax loop joint in there, and we have to give that money right back via taxation. So how the hell are you helping us? If we are not going to be on the front end of it, making sure that we've cleared the legislation, making sure we've cleared the regulation, making sure we fix the taxation issues, that any money, anything that we are given, government will have the loopholes to take it away. So I think for me personally, my route that I'm going is to focus on getting progressivism, that legislation, that regulation, and that taxation off of the books, out of our communities, the boots off of our necks. And then I honestly believe you will start to see Black people building their own wealth, generating their own communities, and you will have less people focused on reparations because we're actually getting a chance at the economic and growth side of things. So then at that point, can we have a conversation about reparations? I'll be all for it. But at that point, if we're not going to get progressivism out the way, then there's no use in fighting over reparations. The government will just take it.
Here we go. Hashtags Dems must pay. Shout out to HJ here in the chat right now. Appreciate you. One more thing before you get out of here. So we found out that Chicago has some law they passed, the Safety Act or whatever it is, and people are calling it the Purge Act. They got a lot of what's the word? Non-detainable offenses. What they're calling them, and somebody said, "Well, no, you're getting it wrong. They can still detain them." But what I read was that judges in those examples that they gave with like aggravated fleeing and arson and all this other stuff, they don't have any say so over whether the person is detained or not. What do you think about this new law that they got going on in Illinois?
Democrats think that the more they pull back the laws or don't have to directly deal with what they've created, they continue to think that they are going to be able to escape by unscathed, right? Mm-hmm. Frankenstein is going to attack its master. Like, that is going to happen. And you, as Democrats, are allowing the problem to continue, like the snowball effect. They're allowing the snowball to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The eventual target that is going to hit is you, mm-hmm. the Democratic Party. That's like the eventual target is going to hit is the Democratic Party. Why are they letting that happen? You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that I can think of outside of, if, a nigga kills a nigga, then that's two niggas gone, right? And they're cool with that. Mm-hmm. But the other part of it is that they want to create this atmosphere that makes Black people so fearful that we stop questioning the Democrats protecting us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like we don't ask questions about it. We don't doubt it anymore. But the part that ticks me off the most is not understanding the way you solve this, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's solution for this problem is like, you need to have more gun laws, you need to have more police, you need to have more government, more restrictions, more regulation. And I'm like, no, you kind of need Black men to be Black men.
Facts.
That's what you need. You need Black men to get armed, to be trained, to understand how to make sure they're fluid with firearms, but also how to make sure they are de-escalate in violent situations, understand triage and certain, all the things that Maj does.
Right.
Like, those are the things that we need to be taking into these areas. So as things start to pop off, as shit starts to pop off, you can have black men starting to stand up and to actually take control of their communities. We all saw groups like the Black Panthers, even though I might be ideologically opposed to them in some areas, but we all saw groups like the Black Panthers attempt to stand up and take their role and their position in these cities, be the peacekeepers, be that barrier between the nonsense and the citizens. But every single time black people, black men have attempted to put themselves into that position of being actual leaders with power in their communities, they have been ripped down by government, by police forces as unnecessary. They are the only solution to these problems. An old OG that has been through it, seen it, done it all, is the only one that's going to be able to check one of these young OG, these youngins, right? They're going to be the only ones. The ones that have been there and done that, they're going to be the only ones that are going to be able to reach these kids. But when you have laws that say, oh, well, you're a felon, that means you can't interact with any of these. How the hell are they supposed to teach them? How are they supposed to mentor them? How are they supposed to step in and be a guiding force and snatch them out of situations they had no business being in? When it puts them in direct violation of their parole and they can go back to jail for simply trying to help. Or saying that you have a felon who wants to stay in their community, they did dirt in their community, like they got enemies in their community. What you want them to stay there with no ability to protect themselves? They can't get their firearm rights back, even though they're staying in a violent place for no other reason than to try to change the trajectory of what's going on. And you can't look at them and say, yes, they should probably have the right to protect and defend themselves. So like, everything is going in the opposite direction of where it's supposed to be going, right? It's supposed to be going back to we the people. It's supposed to be going back to putting these things in citizens' hands and letting them figure out how to do it, who needs to be looked at and who doesn't, who's the good guy and who isn't, as opposed to letting the court system just do blanket laws and letting out murderers and rapists and like the worst among us, and we have to live with them. Like, we have to freaking live with them. And if we defend ourselves, if we protect ourselves, then we are the ones that are arrested and put away for being law-abiding citizens, simply trying to protect ourselves, because Democrats don't believe in things like self-defense. So, like, you see all of these things manifested and playing themselves out. But again, when you see the solutions, and it's just more government, just more police, just locking more people up, that is not going to cure anything. All that is going to do is ensure that you continue to have a population that not only hates the police force, but also hates the government that runs that police force.
All facts. Chad says Sonnie was holding court at Hotep Con. She definitely was. But Chad also makes a point here where he says there's no coincidence that the definition of man, woman is being intentionally grayed. When men are men and women are women, society takes care of itself. I like that.
Yeah, follow men of order.
Yeah, follow men of order.
It doesn't matter. Good quality men will always be good quality men, and good quality women will always be good quality women. And let the crazies be wolves and bunnies and sheep all they want. It's just less competition for us who really want to do the work, right? We don't have to worry about competing with them because they're trying to find their inner wolf self. So we're going to let them do that while we raise our kids up and our communities up to be warriors and to fight for position and to hold it. And the more of them that are over there with their animal spirits, the less we have to compete with. So I'll take that.
I got the law pulled up, Cannon, for that. It says the law enforcement shall issue a citation in lieu of custodial arrest upon proper identification for those accused of Class B and Class C misdemeanors. So, they won't be let go, right?
Somebody breaks into your house. You have to decide whether defending yourself will be ruled legal or not.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's not going to be left up to the police to come in and be like, hey, yeah, let us remove this person. You're going to have to decide what level of interaction you think is legal or illegal. Imagine how that's going to be playing out in court when there is no true regulatory definition of what you as a citizen can and cannot do. It's kind of going to be left up to the discretion of the court.
Right.
Who do you think is going to get in more trouble? The people that are law-abiding citizens protecting themselves, or the criminals? Like, we've seen this play out enough to know which one they're coming for. And they're not coming for the criminals. They're letting them out with zero bail. They're going to be coming for us.
Yeah.
And
this opens the avenue for DUIs and also shoplifting. And then, so when it comes to DUIs, they're going to be, it's at the discretion then of the officer to give them a citation and say, see you again in 21 days. What happens at that point when they've got children in the car or they're driving off drunk in the middle of the night?
Then I guess
you just give them, you just salute them on their way and let them go. And then when
you're going to see the lawsuits start to come in as the citizens start to sue the government.
Right.
For not protecting them, which is not, the police don't have to protect you.
Right.
But you can sue the city for willful negligence in certain cases. So I think you're going to start to see a lot more of those kind of lawsuits coming up. But for me, what I hope you start to see, and this is one thing Black America needs to understand, there is a GOP in your area. There's a building, there's a limited kind of infrastructure, but it is existent. There is a GOP in your community, and it's empty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to go in and to take that over, it wouldn't really be that hard. So put that out there in understanding and recognizing that you will basically be given a shell of a political party that you would be able to build up the way that you see fit in some of the local GOPs around the country. So I would really seriously take that into consideration when we're looking at how we can solve some of these things, understanding that we have to have our hand in politics. That's one of the lessons that Booker T. Washington gave to us. You can do the economics, you can create, you can build, you can grow, you can dominate. But if you don't have your hand in politics, then you can't protect it. And that's a lesson that we learned the hard way. And it's one that I make sure is the center of everything that we do now. If we can't protect the wealth that we are currently building, then we're doomed to make the exact same mistakes from our ancestors. And I don't want us to be that generation.
I hear that. True words have never been spoken for one of the realest to ever do it. The great Sonnie Johnson, everybody. Please give her a round of applause. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and just spitting them gems, man. This was a fire conversation, and I appreciate you. I really appreciate you from me and Jay. So
thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. And make sure y'all stay up with Ken and Hotep. He's one of the greatest. I had a joy hanging out with you at Hotep Con and getting to know you and fellowship with you. It was an absolute joy, and it better not be like this long gap before we chat again, or maybe we have issues. And I know you like 3 times my size, but I feel like I got enough bark to like make that accusation. So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hey, I'm not going to disappoint you. I promise. Let everybody know, for anybody in the chat that don't know where to find you. Where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Twitter right now at Sonnie Johnson. You know, I have my Twitter, and I love my Twitter feed. But you can also catch me every single Saturday on Sirius XM Patriot, channel 125, 1 p.m. Eastern for Sonnie's Corner. You can hear the beat drop. You know, we like to do it live over there. And I'll have a lot more things coming out. Time and just circumstance has been biting my ass lately. But hopefully very soon everything will just fall into place, and we'll be able to bring you even more content. So I'm super excited about that. Next Tuesday is my birthday, September 21st. Spend September 20 with me. I'll be on Gutfeld Show on September 20th. Stay up with me and bring my birthday in with me. I would appreciate that. So shout out.
Salute to Sonnie Johnson. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, no problem. Thank you. We appreciate it. Sonnie Johnson, everybody. That was amazing. That was amazing. Man, that was awesome. That was awesome, y'all. Like, y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand it. Like, I'm trying to get off the screen now. Let me see. Here we go. Let's do this. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Boom. There we go. And just like that, man, Sonnie Johnson, man, that was a fire conversation, man. Dropping those gems, dropping those truth bombs, man. One of the best to ever do it. Like HJ says, Sonnie the GOAT. Sonnie is the GOAT, man. Straight up. Like I said, yo, at Hotep weekend, yo, everywhere she sat, yo, she was holding court, yo. Had a crowd around her, just giving people that knowledge, man. Like, it was just surreal, man, just to be in her presence, man. You know, she even, P Dog Knight was doing his stream, and she just sat down and was just going, man. And it was amazing, man. It was amazing. You had to be there, guys. You had to be there, especially when HJ was interviewing her. It was fantastic. That's all I can say. But the great Sonnie Johnson, man. Like I said, if you ain't following her on Twitter, go follow her on Twitter. If you're not listening to her on Saturdays, I listen to her on Saturdays while I'm out working and stuff like that. Like she said on the Patriot channel 125, I think it is at 1:00. Anyway, let me see. I know we got a couple of things to touch on before we get out of here. I got to get out of here in like the next 5 minutes before I get in trouble. So I know we wanted to go over that one story. Let me find. I just had pulled it up. Let me see.
If we need to run it another day, we could. The torture story out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, let's run it now. We good. Let's go for it now. So let me see. Here we go. Boom. There we go. All right, here we go, guys. Oklahoma inmate who sued over alleged baby shark torture tactic is found dead in his cell. John Bosco was one of 4 inmates who filed a federal civil rights lawsuit last year alleging that jail officers used discipline tactics described as torture events. So that's interesting. So is this it right here? Let's see what they're saying. No, that's something else. What the hell does that say? Illinois Library's drag queen bingo event draws protests. I'm sure it did. All right, let's get to it. So, an Oklahoma inmate who alleged in a lawsuit that the jail staffers tortured detainees, forcing them into stress positions while playing the song Baby Shark for hours, was found dead in his cell. A detention officer performing site checks found John Basco unresponsive around 3:50 a.m. Sunday, Oklahoma County Detention Center officials said in a news release. Medical personnel were called and performed life-saving efforts, but Basco, 48, was pronounced dead just after 4 a.m. His family has been notified, the release said. The cause of death was not revealed. The detention center officials did not immediately reply to a request for comment Tuesday. Basco was one of 4 inmates who filed a federal civil rights lawsuit last year alleging that jail officers use excessive force and discipline tactics the lawsuit described as torture events. Like you said earlier, that sounds like some Epstein shit, bro.
Yeah. So I guess they had the cellmates put their hands up over their head, and then go up to a wall, and then from there they continually played that Baby Shark song behind them, or at loud volumes, and they were gonna sue them. And then what the inmate, I guess the primary inmate that was suing, was found dead.
That's like psychological warfare tactics, right?
Yeah, something similar was done in Waco, and I guess in the Gulf War as well. If you look those up, they used loud music, loud strange sounds to psychologically affect the people around them. And
I remember in that movie Zero Dark 30 where they was playing that music real loud where the dude couldn't sleep.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Guantanamo Bay.
Right.
That's crazy. What like for what? For what? Just because?
Yeah. At Gitmo.
Yeah. I'm talking about here in Oklahoma. They did this shit just because? That's crazy.
I don't know.
Like, that's nuts.
They were out of pocket. That's for sure.
It definitely was out of pocket. thing about it is, right? What about the other 3 inmates? they better put them on some kind of watch, solitary confinement, or I don't know. If I was one of them, I'd be like, yo, I want to be in population. I want to be in population. Yeah. I don't want to go missing and nobody know. I need people to see what happened to me. Like, I don't know how you would do that. That's crazy, man. Playing Baby, I could only imagine, because my nephew and my son, that fucking Baby Shark song would drive you nuts. Over and over again. Drive you insane, bro. Like, I'd be like, can y'all just turn something else on, please? Just something else.
Oh yeah.
And then you driving down the street and you fucking singing Baby Shark, ain't nobody in the fucking car but you, just you. And you
wasn't that? Would that be like the Old Town? What was that? Old Town
Road,
or whatever.
Man, that one.
Everyone was bumping that for a very long time. As the second it was released.
What do they call it? Like earwig or earworm or whatever they call that shit when you get a song stuck in your head, you can't get it out.
Yeah.
Man, listen, that Baby Shark, over and over again, you know what I mean, at loud volume, just hearing the shit in the background while I'm cleaning the kitchen and my nephew here, I can't take it. Golly mighty.
I hope they get that investigated. There should be a top story for one of those 2020 specials or something like that. Get to the bottom of that,
right?
Real quick,
right? Yeah, it got to be.
They will, though. I guess it looks like they're gonna probably bury this story.
Yeah, they're gonna bury it. They're definitely gonna bury it. But anyway, we'll push the other topics off to, like, I don't know, maybe we'll do something tomorrow. We'll see. I might jump on tomorrow and holler at you, and we can finish this up.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we appreciate you guys joining us. We appreciate the great Sonnie Johnson blessing us with her presence. We appreciate you, Sonnie. Anyway, for Jay Pylon, this is Cannon Hotep saying, stay blessed. Stay well. I almost forgot my damn saying. Stay blessed, stay well, stay strapped. Somebody just get Baby Shark off the internet, please.
Dang.
We holler at y'all.
All right.